back to Gearwire.com. I'm Owen up here, and we are continuing our look at the very talented, multi-talented Eventide PitchFactor. The PitchFactor is it's the newest of the factor pedals from Eventide, specializes in pitch and harmonics-based effects, but as we're about to see, has a lot more than just harmonizing, intelligent harmonizing under its hood. We checked out the first two modes on this guy, which were the diatonic and quadravox modes, which combined sort of stepped pitch, sequenced delay stuff, harmonizing, cool stuff. Now we're going to bring in some more of the sort of cool modulation effects and cool real-time effects that this guy can do. Right now we are in what's called Harmodulator mode. Harmodulator. Sort of an awkward name, that's all right. Harmodulator is well, it's unlike the first two modes in that it's not based on a relative key. It's basically, it has two tones, and you select the two tones, pitch A and B, in just semitones, microtones. So let's listen to what that sounds like. Got a lot going on right now. There's modulation going on. Let's bring the modulation to 0 here. We've got some delay feedback. We'll get to all that. First, let's just look at our pitches. We've got pitch A and B. So now we've got an octave up and an octave up. You can see these are just now if we move over here, then we get some sort of separate delays for A and B. Again, this is our tempo function is on, so they're based on measure subdivisions. So let's put A at, let's see here, 1/16 and B at 1/8. So similar effects to what we had here, but what we had in the other video rather, but now we're bringing in modulation effects. Tones are being swept up and down. This determines the range of the sweep. Up to 2 octaves up or 2 octaves down. And you can hear they're kind of being bent against one another. Now if we just do minimal intervals, in fact, let's take the delay off here. Some cool modulation effects. In fact, let's bring A and B both back to unison. And we've got a triple voiced chorus, or flanger basically. Our chorus depth. Actually controls the shape of the sweep wave. So we've got sine, triangle, square, on and off now. dramatically the effect changes just by changing the sweep from microtones to the 2-octave scale. Now we can also bring in some feedback here. This button down here, which was the learn key button on in the first 2 modes, is now something called flex, which takes the pitch A and B and cranks them up an octave. So this is really cool if you're sort of you're playing some I don't know, some cool rhythm parts. I don't know if that qualifies as a cool rhythm part, but then you can step on this, instantly get an octave tone for doing lead stuff. These modulated tones also, I think, sound really awesome through a distortion box. So here's Seymour Duncan Lava Box. Cool stuff in Harmodulator mode. Let's just kind of run through the other modes really quickly here. Our next mode is called micro pitch, which can be used to do even, it sort of focuses more on the modulation stuff. But it also has delay in there. Our next mode is called H910 or H49. Now this is sort of, the H910 was the first Eventide harmonizer effect. You could basically, using this button right here, this encoder, you can switch between different, sort of the different classic harmonizer, harmonizing algorithms. So you can kind of go from the earliest one, which is, I guess you could call the glitchiest harmonizer effect. And here's our 2 tones. So you switch between chromatic and micro tuning. The micro tuning kind of can create those cool chorusing effects. Chromatic does the sort of more octave jumps. This is their earliest algorithm, so we switch through. You can hear how the tracking changes. It's basically less and less glitchy as you go on, so you can kind of have a weird glitchy sounding effect if you so choose. Also, let's see here. Let's bring in some. This does this cool thing. The flex button now does this cool thing where it's like, it basically freezes a chord. So if you can freeze a chord and then play over it, which is really cool. Let's move on. Now we've got something called pitch flex. Pitch flex, a lot of the controls are basically similar to like a whammy type pedal. This mode really benefits from the external expression pedal input back here, which would be used in place of this pitch pedal, or in place of this sort of momentary stomp box style pitch flex here. Now you can hear this when the bend is really slow and I don't have any control over the rate of the bend, so unless I do this. But even that, if that's basically the rate from heel to toe of the expression pedal. If I had an actual expression pedal, I can control it in real time, which would be really cool. I'm just going through all these modes real quick. There's a lot of them. Octaver. Now this one brings in some synth tones. With two different voices. There's an A voice and a B voice. Tracks really well, as you can hear. You can change the resonance of the different voices. You can change the attack and release of the different voices. But let's move on. Crystals. Got that space station synth swell thing going on. Seriously, a lot going on. Let's move on to the next. What is this one? This is called Arpeggiator? Harpeggiator. Oh, I wonder what that would sound like. What? So much going on. Now the nice thing is that this display here, this sort of segment LCD display, this little matrix LCD display, is actually very descriptive. When you turn a knob, you can kind of see, like, here's a little pattern. That's a little step pattern. So it looks like if I turn the knob, I'm deciding the A step pattern or the B step pattern. And here's the different other patterns. It is actually very descriptive. Now I'm adjusting the A-B mix. It's really, there's a lot to this pedal, but it's very inviting specifically because of this interface right here. Okay, let's move on to another. Let's see, we've got Synthenizer. as sort of another synth effect in addition to the octaver. And again, it tracks really well, I think, especially for being just one of many effects in this multi-effect pitch factor pedal. Let's just play this through some distortion because I love how it sounds. Now, there's a little like burbliness, but it's not the kind of burbliness that really gets in the way. It just sort of adds character to this specific synth tracker. Really, there's like not a bad sound in this thing. Now, so that was sort of like a rough overview of all the different, sort of like, I guess you could call them secondary effect banks. What's a secondary effect on this thing? I don't know. But in the last video, part 3, I'll show you how, really quick, how you're going to build your preset effects banks, which you'll use in performance. It's a very handy feature that makes this sophisticated, complex, I don't want to say complex, it's got negative connotations, sophisticated pedal much easier to use in a performance context. Till then, I'm Owen O'Malley. You've been watching Gearwire.com, and this is the Eventide PitchFactor. Stay tuned for the final part 3. See you soon.